really excited us. But at the point that we enter worship, that's the point where it's all about God. You know, it's not about us. It's not about anyone next to us. It's not about what's going on around us, what's going on outside. It's just about God. And a lot of people say that during worship, it's about us and God, you know? And to an extent, that's true, because that's the time that God can personally get things to us. That's the time that God can speak things to our heart, that he can illuminate things to us, put things on our minds that we may not have even thought about, and we may not even know that it's there when he speaks it to us or when he gives it to us. But that's the time that, like I said, we've got to set everything aside and just make everything about him. Like, one of the things that I like that Jay does a lot is when he's picking out songs, he makes sure that they talk about God. You know, he makes sure that it talks about how big God is, how awesome God is. It talks about all the good things that he's done for us. When I've been to some churches and it seems like, the songs get us really fired up, get us ready to go, and people are jumping up and down. But then you think about it, and it's talking a lot about us. It's talking a lot about I'm blessed in the city, I'm blessed in the field. It's saying like all these things, but it's like, okay, where's God in your worship? Like, the whole point of worship is to connect with God. It's to tell him everything that he deserves to hear out of us. It's to tell him how great he is, all the things he's done for us, and you could go on for days, and you shouldn't really have to think that hard, but sometimes we go along our day and we don't really feel like worshiping. We don't really feel like saying, oh man, God, you're so awesome. You're so big in my life. And the problem with that is when you don't spend too much time doing that, you end up not feeling like he's big in your life. When those things come along in your day that really screw things up and the day is going terrible, you don't feel like God can overcome everything at that point, because you feel like everything's come against you. Your day's gone crappy. How can it be redeemed at this point? You know what I mean? It feels like everything's down. I might as well just throw in the towel, flatten the rest of the tires, and I'm just going to hang back. If they want to sing, that's cool. But I've had a bad day. I don't really feel like doing too much. The problem is, we can give our tithe, and that's cool, because that's a command. God didn't ask you to give your tithe and offering. He told you to give your tithe and offering. So you're not going to get a hero biscuit for that. Where things start happening is in the area of praise and worship. Because he didn't command you to praise him. He didn't command you to worship him, but he deserves it. The good thing is, the Bible talks about ways that you can worship. A lot of people are like, oh man, I don't really know what's acceptable. I've seen people run around a couple times. That was a little weird. I've seen people, there's some people clap their hands, that's just not me. Some people raise their hands, that's not me. Some people close their eyes, that's not me. But the Bible gives us a lot of examples for how we can worship. He gives us basically suggestions. He doesn't say this is how it has to be done, but this is what you can do, and that helps a lot. And as I was looking, I was thinking about how important worship is. And just to put it in perspective, the word worshiper, like one who worships, appears in the Bible twice. The word worshipers appears 7 times. The word worshipeth appears 6 times. The word worshiping appears 5 times. The word worshipped appears 70 times. And the word worship appears 108 times. And that kind of stood out to me because notice the word worshiper, which would be who we are, that only pops up 2 times. However, worship, which is the act of worshiping God, appears 108 times, which tells me what the real role should be. We should take ourselves out of it. We should stand back and say, you know what? The day has sucked. However, it's all about you, God, for everything you've done, for who you are, you know, not because of what you've done for me, but because of who you are to me. Because you created me, you gave me this life. Because you've blessed me to the point that I can look at the rest of the world and say, man, they're suffering. And that's the thing that causes us to care. See, if we don't spend enough time worshiping God and telling him how big he is and thanking him for everything that he's done for us, we'll end up not seeing how much he's done for us and how good he is to us. We'll end up not realizing that there are people in Terre Haute who have it 10 times worse than we do. Worship changes your whole perspective. It changes the way you see things. And my real challenge to you is to, in your times of worship, push in and give God all you have. You know, don't be satisfied with just worshiping like you've always worshiped. If you've worshiped, you know, do you feel like you really worshiped? Do you feel like you gave God everything that you could give him in your time of worship? Because that's how we should feel every time going into it. And I know a lot of times I don't feel like it. I go home and I'm like, oh man, that was a good service. It was pretty cool. I sat there most of the time.